fly through these really quick and catch up to where we were, because the feedback that I did get from last week was that it was a lot of information. However, if there is anything that I want you to take away from my lectures at all, it's that if this is balanced and you're feeding your microbiome properly, then all health just falls naturally into place. This is literally the anchor for your healthy habits. Okay, so, right, your alimentary canal, your gut lining actually starts in your nose and it runs all the way down to your rectum. It's the only surface, it's the only structure in your body that comes in contact with the outside world at all places, meaning breath and food. It's your home to your microbiome. It's super thin. If you pull out a hair and you cut it in half, that's how thin this lining is.
Oh my God.
You didn't hear that?
I didn't hear that last week.
Oh, see? That's why it's a good thing we did that. So it's the barrier between your breath and your food and your internal organs, right? It's the home to your microbiome, which is about 3 to 5 pounds worth of bacteria that just live in your gut lining. It's the innervation between your gut-brain axis, which I think is going to be next week's lecture, because that's a nice one to have. And then it's about 50 microns thin, so it's the biggest surface area you have. So if you lay out all of the cells in your digestive system, they take up about the size of 2 tennis courts. That's how big this surface area is inside of you, which is like so cool to think about, because it's that, and then it's like smushed down in this, like, right? Talk about surface area, like how all those cells, it's just beautiful. But if you take a hair out, one hairdresser, and you cut that in half, that is how thin this cellular lining is. So I was lecturing on this on Monday, and I'm like, so to think about that when you're eating something crunchy like a pretzel, and it doesn't like just lacerate through that whole thing, like the brilliance of the strength behind it and just how all those fibers stay together is literally mind-blowing when you think about it that way. It's the place where the most intimate exchanges of life happen on a cellular level. And I'm not just talking about food, I'm talking about respirations too, because that's literally what brought humans back to life. It was electricity and breath. Those are the 2 things that we need to live that give us life. Yes, we need nourishment and other things too, but so this is the structure in which those 2 most intimate exchanges happen on a cellular level. Like, it is so cool if you really zoom in on that function. So you are more gut bacteria, you're more bacterial DNA than you are human, which is really crazy if you think about it. So really you're like a walking bacteria. And then the most important thing that we could talk about these days is that over 70% of your immune system lives inside your gut. So if your gut is good, then your immune system is good. That is a fact. There is no disputing that. If these microbes are out of balance, they lead to serious diseases. All of these: diabetes, irritable bowel, autoimmune, neurological issues, schizophrenia, ADHD, OCD, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. If you have occasional diarrhea, constipation, abdominal pain, bloating, those things are common from time to time. Like if you eat a lot at Thanksgiving dinner and you're bloated, or anything like that, that's fine. But if they're a more than weekly occurrence, then you definitely have an issue. How to tell if you have a healthy microbiome would be the first thing you would do is evaluate your risk factors. So we'll just fly through those. Antibiotic use. Processed foods. Antibiotics, obviously, because they are antibacterial and your microbiome is bacteria, so they're going to wipe that out. They're non-specific. You can't take antibiotics and then be like, oh, wait a second, that's a good gut bacteria, that's a bad virus, so I'm going to kill that. No, it wipes them all out. And not only are we talking about antibiotics that are fed to you because of an infection, but we're also talking about antibiotics that you get when you eat processed meats or just any sort of conventionally grown meat. Processed foods, you have the issue with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides that are going to completely bomb your microbiome, just by the nature of what they do. And then you have the genetically modified foods, which you know how much I absolutely love them. So just really easy things to integrate into your life when you're going to the grocery store, if you're not going to do anything else, would be non-GMO, and it would be to adhere to the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 as your shopping list in all categories of the food that you're eating. So if you're eating bell peppers and tomatoes in your salsa, then make sure that the salsa is organic. Make sure that the tomato sauce that you're buying from the grocery store, because tomatoes are on the Dirty Dozen, so it's not just the produce aisles, it filters into all of the stuff on the shelves that you are going to buy. Ongoing stress, what it does to your microbiome, that 95% of your serotonin is produced by these gut bacteria, so that's your happy hormone, that's your happy neurotransmitter, and if you're not producing it, you're depressed, you're anxious, all of that completely comes back to your gut bacteria. This slide was just to demonstrate how your nervous system is completely wrapped up in every single facet of your gut. So your my gut feelings, and you know, they talk about the gut being your first brain. It is the truth. When you are born, the formation of your cells, your brain and your gut and your vagus nerve all form in the same bundle, so they are very much a single unit. It's not like, yes, it's very easy to take all of the different systems and break them up and reduce them to just that system. It's why we have cardiovascular doctors. It's why we have neurologists, and then we have endocrinologists, and we have podiatrists, and we have all of these different subsets where really holistic health and looking at things, because they're all interconnected. So your microbiome can directly affect your central nervous system, which your central nervous system is in charge of your intelligence, your personality, your emotions, your memory, your ability to move, your thought, your breathing, your heart rate. So if your microbiome can directly affect your central nervous system, look at all of that. So doesn't this seem like a really important thing to address in your health journey? Totally, because that's intense. That's very intense, that list of things that this has direct effect on. And a sedentary lifestyle impacts the gut. If you're not moving, then you're not getting your lymph flowing. You're not releasing toxins from your body the way that you're supposed to. Everything is just building up. Part of your digestive system on the accessory organ side is your liver and is your gallbladder, which and then your kidneys, I guess, too, but which is completely part of your detoxification pathway. So if you're not moving and you're just sitting on the couch all day, those toxins are building up, they're into your tissues, and then you have a really big problem, because in order for your body to have a healthy environment, you need it to be in an alkaline state. You need it to be balanced. Our blood pH is 7.35 to 7.45. It needs to stay within that very beautiful range. Like, it can't deviate or you die, and that's it. So it's a very narrow window, but it's not like it's 6.5 to 7.5, which would be a little acidic and a little basic. No, it is all alkaline. And when you aren't releasing toxins from your body the way that you're supposed to, you are doing nothing but create acidity on a cellular level within your body, which is disease. That is the environment in which disease proliferates and health does not. Getting adequate sleep. Your gut runs on a circadian rhythm. I talked about the cells that live inside your gut, that their only job is to go around and repair damaged cells while you're sleeping. So if you're eating within like a 2-hour window before you go to sleep, those cells don't have the ability to go through and clean out all of the damaged debris, because you're digesting food and there's food in its place, so they can't go through and do their job. And then if you're not sleeping adequately and getting into a stable REM sleep, these cells are like, I don't know what's going on, and they're like insomniacs. I mean, it takes a decent amount of energy for your body to digest food, right? And if you're doing that when you're sleeping, that energy is moving away from healing your body, because that's when your body is resetting, it's storing memories, it's taking care of, it's processing emotions, and it's healing your tissue. Like, the beauty that is our human body is the greatest gift God ever gave us as human beings, is to be able to walk around and experience life on earth in these superbly designed units. Like, it's phenomenal how they're actually designed to work and function. It's literally mind-blowing. Like, I can't believe it. It's just so cool.
What about that second point?
Which was, if you don't get enough rest, your microbes in your gut produce toxins, and they create an unfavorable shift in your microbiome. Right. So if they're stressed, if they're not, how do you act when you're not sleeping well? Right. It would be the exact same. Your internal structures are nothing but a microcosm of what you are, and you are nothing but a microcosm of what the world is around you. It's amazing. Dental infections. This is really interesting because this week I had a Zoom call with a couple other women, and one of them is now a holistic dental assistant. And she was so passionate about oral health and exactly what I said last week, that if you have infections in your mouth, it completely disrupts your gut because it's the same unit. Like, it's just, I mean, and that completely makes sense. But I couldn't believe, she said, the education that goes into these patients that go to her office and the pristine nature of their teeth is like nothing she's ever seen before, because she's new to the practice. So she's just like seeing this for the first time. But just to see her exposure and the passion come out around it was really interesting and cool to see. I did this lecture on Monday to a group of people, and right before I went on to the lecture, I went on Facebook real quick and this picture came up, and I was like, that's exactly, what I'm talking about.
Because the veins are connecting.
This picture is exactly the whole entire nature of what I am trying to get across to everybody, is that we are so intimately designed to connect with our environment. When we take a breath, you are breathing in on this layer of tissue, the same layer we're talking about, all of the information around us that is telling our bodies exactly what's in our environment right now. Viruses, protozoa, fungus, you're breathing it all in 10 to 20 times a minute. And then you eat, however many times you eat during the day. But this is the intimate nature of how one we are with nature. And then if you think about how absolutely removed most of us are from this picture, it's really to say how far we've separated from God as a species. Amen. Step 2. Here's where I'll slow down a bit. Evaluate your digestive health. So poor digestion can be so chronic and so common that people think it's normal, and it's not. If you regularly experience any of the following, I forgot to correct that, of the following symptoms, it's time to take a closer look at your gut. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Are you ready? Here's the list. Bloating after meals, bloating that gets worse throughout the day, heartburn, reactions to certain foods, burping, regurgitating foods between meals, loose stools, hard rabbit poop stools, which I have a poop chart later I'll show you guys, so we're going to definitely talk about that. Abdominal pain or cramping, excessive flatulence, irregular bowel movements. Anybody know how many times a day you're actually supposed to have a bowel movement?
3.
Yeah, good. more than 3 bowel movements per day or less than 3 bowel movements per day, constantly having to strain to have a bowel movement, nausea, red or pink pigments in your stools, slow or fast bowel transit time, and nutritional deficiencies. Okay, so this is where you want to be. It needs to look like the inside of your digestive system, and that is supposed to happen 3 times a day. Yeah, that's like a lot, right? So, anything else you have problems. This indicates constipation, not enough water, and this is just too much water. Everything is just passing through you. This is probably like you have way too much gunky stuff up in there, and it's just sliding through your intestines like toothpaste rather than like sitting and absorbing, because you probably have a lot of mucoid plaque and stuff built up in there, which is what happens. Evaluate your health history. You know how much I love this guy? All disease begins in the gut. And he said that however many years ago, right? Hippocrates. An imbalance in gut microbes can impact the gut lining. When working properly, this lining forms a tight fence that controls what gets in and absorbed into the bloodstream. We'll talk about leaky gut again for a second, because obviously that's pretty much what happens in your gut that leads to chronic diseases. So leaky gut is a more permeable gut lining that will partially allow undigested food, toxins, harmful bacteria to penetrate the tissues and gain access into your bloodstream. It triggers a massive immune response that produces ongoing inflammation if it is not stopped. If you don't stop assaulting your gut lining, it is going to lead to chronic inflammation, which then turns into autoimmune disease. This is the root cause for autoimmune disease, leading to diseases such as asthma, food allergies, autoimmune conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis. You know the list of autoimmune diseases. It is extremely long at this point. So this is what's happening. Remember how I said I used the description of the pretzel when you eat it, and it's just like so fascinating that doesn't tear apart this lining, because pretzels are really hard in this lining. You know, if it's as thin as your hair seems pretty, flimsy. You have these tight junctions that hold these healthy epithelial cells together. Right here is the gut lumen. So when you eat food, it goes in your mouth, goes down in your esophagus, into your stomach, into your small intestine, and it passes up through here. This is why your surface area of your gut is as big as 2 tennis courts, because this is where all of the nutrients gets absorbed. So they're like, hello, touch me, and it pulls in the nutrients down into here, and it goes into your blood. So on this side, your healthy cells, it's going to allow what needs to pass into your bloodstream to pass into your bloodstream. These tight junctions here hold these cells together and only open if they're supposed to. Things like gluten trigger these tight junctions to open up. Things like toxins and bugs and pesticides and everything that we've been talking about, sugar and crappy oils and like all of that, loosen these, assault your cells and damage them. So these tight junctions open up. So now all of these things that are really bad for your system that are not supposed to get past this defense layer now have direct access into your bloodstream. And this is where your immune system lives. So once bread starts getting into your bloodstream and food and ice cream and pesticides, your bloodstream is now completely triggered your immune system and your immune systems, and they're like, what is all this garbage? And it completely sets off a whole systemic immune inflammatory response to get out these pathogens, because they are foreign invaders and they are not supposed to be in there. So now your immune system, number one, is going haywire, trying to collect all of this stuff and clean it up. 2 is distracted from its actual purpose, which is to fight defenses on all fronts, not just in your gut. 3 is now completely strained, and you're burning up all of your resources, your minerals, your vitamins, everything that you take in to support your immune system, because now it's chronically dealing with this because you keep eating bread every single day. So you're going to not have a properly functioning immune system because, again, how much of your immune system lives in your gut?
80%.
Wow. Yeah, pretty much all of it. I mean, what good is that other 30% if, like, the big chunk of it is completely distracted?
60%.
70 to 80, depending on who you're talking to. Yeah. So does this make sense as the reason why there is so much chronic disease? Does this, like, I think it illustrates it pretty well. So if you have a history of experiencing any of the following symptoms, there is a high chance that your gut is contributing to your health problems. You have a low immune system. Things that you're going to have to deal with are frequent infections, food sensitivities, seasonal allergies, slow wound healing, fatigue, exhaustion, fevers, achy joints, mouth ulcers, cold sores, anemia, and hair loss. Those would indicate you got a problem in your immune system, which obviously all goes back to your gut. Brain problems, depression, anxiety, brain fog, memory loss, inability to concentrate, diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's, headaches, migraine. All gut. Autoimmune conditions, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, rheumatoid arthritis, celiac disease, psoriatic arthritis, psoriasis, vitiligo, Graves' disease, multiple sclerosis, Addison's disease, and lupus. Hormonal problems, PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, adenomyosis, PMS, which we all know what that is, infertility, erectile dysfunction, uterine fibroids. One of the first things that I learned was about the digestive system, but it was most people are not going to be symptomatic in this area. It will be somewhere else. Like anxiety and depression is a gut problem. Insomnia, not sleeping, is a gut problem. Hormonal imbalance, brain fog is a gut problem. It literally all goes back to the gut because of that tree in the forest thing. It is all connected, and the primary source of intimate cellular exchange is in your gut. You're created in the image of God, right? God is a healer. So we innately are healers, which means every single part of our DNA is designed to do that. But it can only do that if you are supporting it by giving it the things that it was designed to thrive on. Period. If you're not, then you're acidic and your body deteriorates and it goes into shutdown mode rather than thriving and living and actually connecting with life the way that we were designed to do. Metabolic problems. All of these originate in the gut. Weight gain, unexplained weight loss, insulin resistance, diabetes, high cholesterol, fatty liver, cardiovascular, thyroid dysfunction. Skin problems, acne, psoriasis, eczema, and rosacea. So now what? We want to go from an acidic environment, which is exactly what this is, to an alkaline environment with, look at this gut bug right here who's like eating on genetically modified popcorn and pizza and MSG and high fructose corn syrup and antibiotics in the meat and all of this infected dairy stuff over here, to all of this, and look at how happy and energized and full of life he is. I mean, think about the Living Foods lecture that we did. Like, you can feed yourself stuff that's food that's alive and full of life that you can actually see, or you can feed yourself all of this stuff, which completely does nothing but destroy your beautiful body and take from you. It takes from you, and it doesn't even let you know it's doing it. It just slowly robs over time, slowly, slowly, and takes your life, and then takes your life. So, what are we going to do? How are we going to shift the terrain from this to this? And your gut is a terrain. If you looked at that picture before, I mean, two tennis courts worth of terrain that you need to now shift to an alkaline balanced state. So, hello. First thing, remove your GMOs. Remove them. Go through your pantry, find the butterfly. If the butterfly's not on it, get rid of it. Read your ingredients. If it says sugar and it doesn't say organic cane sugar, get rid of it. The little things matter because they all add up. Because you are in no way going to be able to control everything that comes into your body. You go out to dinner. I'm going to go out to lunch tomorrow. I know that what I'm eating is going to be full of stuff that I wouldn't normally put inside my body. So there is definitely a give and take and a balance, but I'm going to control what I can control because I know that when I step out into the world, that's an impossible feat. So that's why I'm saying all of the little things matter. And going organic, especially with the clean 15 and the dirty dozen as your, steadfast place to pay attention to those things, and removing the GMOs. Whole foods, primarily plant-based. I am going to push this, and I'm going to push this, and I'm going to push this. Your body needs alkaline foods to remain alkaline. If you are eating meat, it creates acidity. When you have acidity in your body is going to do one of three things. It's going to increase your cholesterol as a buffer system to bring down your pH. It's going to remove calcium from your bones, which is going to help balance your pH, or it's going to store fat, which helps balance your pH. None of these things do it properly because that is not what they are intended to do. However, that is what your body is going to do because your body's goal, no matter what, is to maintain a blood pH of 7.35 to 7.45. So it is going to rob, steal, cheat, and whatever to get that job done to keep you alive because, again, if your blood pH shifts, you're dead. Just like that. So, plants create alkalinity. They are cleansing, they are detoxifying. This is why a plant-based diet, or primarily plant-based, is of the utmost importance. Minimally processed. You do not want to have this is why I am against the plant-based fake meats. Because they are so heavily processed, the good plant stuff that's in them is not really in them anymore. It's just kind of like a fake sort of substitute. Granted, if you are transitioning, that's one thing, but I'd rather you do like a cauliflower and walnut mix for your ground beef than I would like an Impossible Burger, which I actually still haven't even looked at that, but I just know that they're really super heavily processed. You want to swap out the sugar for natural options. Again, you can get the handout over there if you didn't get it last week. Lisa, I still have to send those to you, sorry. Sugar is one of the things that is genetically modified, so you want to make sure that you're just stay away from all processed white stuff is like the best way to put it, like whether it's cocaine or white flour or sugar. They're all bad for you. They all create really bad stuff inside your body. So just blanket statement, all white powders, right? Okay? So natural options, maple syrup, stevia, which is a plant that is basically made into a tea. That is how they get stevia. There is no super processing like there is in agave. Because agave is a not so minimally processed natural sugar. It does have to go through a pretty decent processing to get it into the bottle. So, same thing with your refined oils. Remember that lecture? So, and then you want to swap out your refined grains for sprouted ones or gluten-free ones. Grains or seeds. Seeds need to be sprouted. If they're not sprouted, you are eating them incorrectly. This is why since ancient times we have been sprouting and soaking seeds. Beans, lentils, all of them, including grains, are supposed to be soaked. But they don't soak them, so you're not actually getting the full nutritional benefit out of them. Grains have a protective coating over them so that bugs don't eat them. It's like a built-in pesticide. That's a natural one. So that's why when you eat something that hasn't been soaked, you get an upset stomach. So you soak them and it actually starts to digest that coating on the outside, and all of the internal minerals and vitamins that weren't otherwise turned on are now bioavailable for a human consumption safely without any sort of indigestion or gas or bloating or anything. Gluten-free, this is difficult because most gluten-free stuff is like such junk, and like the ingredients list is 50,000.
And the organic, when you do find it, is expensive.
Well, right, yes, yeah.
You're just better off making it yourself.
You're better off making it yourself. So keep it simple and sustainable. The more plants you eat and the less refined processed foods and animal products you consume, the happier your gut will be. Happy gut equals happy health equals happy life. Plants are anti-inflammatory. Plants contain fiber. Nothing else does. And fiber is the food that feeds your gut bacteria, period. So if you're not eating fiber in your diet, then your whole entire microbiome is not being fed the food that it needs in order to make your neurotransmitters and make your hormones. So there's your disconnection right there. If they're not getting fiber, you're not getting better. Okay, so plant foods are nutrient dense. They provide the building blocks for all of life. This is where all animals on Earth get their nutrition. There is no other place that you get nutrition on Earth. An animal that is a carnivore, follow the food chain down, gets his nutrition from plants. That is the only source of nutrition on Earth. Period. In processed and refined foods, the fiber is removed. Or it's put back in like wheat germ or like whatever they're trying to do to like, oh, okay, but like, no, it's not. Like, it needs to be in its whole form. When you adulterate something, that's exactly just what you're doing. Numerous chemicals are added to enhance the flavor, color, preserve its shelf life. Studies have shown that these are associated with numerous health issues. If my daughter eats food dye or any sort of artificial junk at school, I know immediately because of her behavior when she comes home and how disconnected her soul is from her body. It just creates a split. Animal products, yes, even dairy, create inflammation, chronic disease, and a shorter lifespan. I'm not saying don't enjoy your ice cream, once or twice a year. Absolutely. We are supposed to indulge and have, good experiences when you're down here. Prebiotics and probiotics for the microbiome. So prebiotics, again, is going back to that fiber. The food that you feed your gut bacteria are prebiotics. Then your gut makes your hormones and all of that stuff and then has its own waste, and those are called postbiotics. These are terms that you're hearing now. Well, you might be hearing now, but they're out there in this field. So then you have probiotics. Probiotics are going to be things that you can take in a capsule as long as they're from a really reputable, very good company. Please don't buy them at Stop and Shop off the shelf because they're not. And then you can also talk about probiotics being in your form of fermented food, sauerkraut, kimchi, pickled fermented vegetables. These things are pre-digested fibers, so they go into your gut. They feed your gut bacteria. They have their own microbial system that grows on them. That's what ferments them, right? Are all the bacteria that are in the air that attach to these things, right? Because you're breathing in bacteria all the time. So they attach to these things and they create this fermented yumminess and bubbles and stuff like that. I don't know if any of you have ever fermented anything on your countertop before, but it's a really cool experiment. So these things go through your digestive system. They feed your microbiome because they are prebiotics, and then they actually have their own microbial DNA that's within them that assists in your digestion as it's moving through your gut. They don't actually like inoculate your gut with new bacterial strains. They help the ones that you have grow and proliferate because they're feeding them, and then they use their own that they come with and assist your digestion on their way through your system, however long that takes. So here are some really great things to increase or to help heal your gut lining. So B vitamins, magnesium, vitamin C, zinc, and selenium. Your B vitamins are going to be really high in your algae and your seaweeds. Magnesium, which, again, we have a sugar epidemic on Earth. There's sugar in everything. 1 molecule of sugar requires 56 molecules of magnesium to metabolize. So you are losing so much magnesium when you consume sugar on a molecular basis. It's insane. One of the biggest deficiencies that we have on Earth is in magnesium. Magnesium regulates your immune system, regulates your nervous system, it regulates your sleep-wake cycle, it regulates so much of everything. Again, a tree in a forest, you need it all. Magnesium is huge for health. So is B vitamins. So these pumpkin seeds and cacao are super high in magnesium. Citrus is going to be high in all of your, or vitamin C is going to be high in all of your citrus fruits and your bright veggies. Zinc, again, pumpkin seeds and cacao. And selenium, Brazil nuts. Selenium is a very underrated nutrient that we need, and Brazil nuts are ridiculously high in them. So if you eat like 3 Brazil nuts a day, you're like good. You're good. That's all you need.
You're so good, though.
Herbs and supplements to help with discomfort and healing from any digestive issues. Aloe vera slippery elm is something that you can make. You can get powder. It's tea form or capsules or anything like that. It literally is what it says it is. It makes everything really slippery and just is very soothing to your gut lining. Turmeric, specifically curcumin, that's in turmeric, is the anti-inflammatory component that you want to make sure you're getting a high amount of. Chamomile, ginger, peppermint, licorice, fennel, magnesium is very healing for your gut. If you are irregular, start taking a really great version of magnesium. There's 3 different versions: magnesium citrate, alginate. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. Senna is a natural herb that you can use, or find yourself a doTERRA essential oil rep, because that was my plug. I didn't even do that on purpose. I just know their quality and consistency, and that's why I said that. So, thanks. Fermented foods, we definitely talked about this. It creates prebiotics and probiotics, and it helps make vitamins and amino acids more bioavailable when you ferment food, so that is why that is done. The fermentation process makes foods more nutritionally rich. Here's a pretty picture of things that you can lacto ferment. So chronic stress management. Chronic stress alters the composition of your gut microbiome, because everything does. Reduces gastrointestinal secretions, it increases inflammation, and it modifies the immune response, obviously, because anything that's going to create inflammation in your gut is going to modify the immune response, because we saw how hand in hand they go together, right? Things that work on stress management: prayer, meditation, journaling, exercise, taking a bath, talking to a friend or a professional, deep breathing. Connecting your body with the world around you, connecting to the thing that God gave us to bring us to life, not in a foo-foo weird way, in a metabolic, functional, biological way, because that's what we are. We're walking biology. So taking a deep breath has very, very big physiological effects. It decreases your epinephrine going through your body. It triggers the parasympathetic nervous system. It shuts down your adrenaline, which is your heart pumping. It completely helps control stress. So figure out what works great for you and make it a priority every day. I now wake up in the morning and I have like a complete breathing meditation time, which totally sets my tone. I mean, I have my Bible out, I do all of my things, but that complete physiological reset in the morning is very helpful to keeping me calm and keeping me set on my day so I can connect to what I'm supposed to be doing here on earth.
Amen.
Get great sleep. Not getting enough quality sleep can also compromise your gut. Like I said, you have specific housekeeping cells that live in your gut that only come out at night when you're sleeping to heal your gut. So if you're not getting quality sleep, you're not getting the gut healing. These microbes are crucial for maintaining a healthy gut ecosystem. They maintain a healthy gut lining and they repair your damaged cells. Getting enough sleep consistently is as important as a healthy diet, exercising regularly, and stress management. These are your 4 pillars of health, and they are all interchanged. All of them. It's a tree and then it's a forest. You can't have one without the other. I just talked to somebody today and had to remind them of this because they said, I am eating healthy. No, it's my sleep and it's my stress level. And I said, no, it all goes back to your gut. It all starts in your gut. So no, you are not eating the way that you should be eating. We need to flip it. You need to eat to support your cells, not like your macros and weighing stuff out. She had a different reason for weighing stuff out, which was totally, totally acceptable. However, this is more my point, is that they all play on each other. You can't focus on one without dealing with all of the others. Obtaining physical health requires 2 things. Removing your toxins and assailants, your GMOs, your pesticides, all of that stuff that we talked about, antibiotics, all of that we talked about in the beginning. And then once you've done that, that's step 1. Step 2 is to then reverse your deficiencies, which is then flooding your body with as much pure nutrition as you possibly can to support your body's innate, naturally given healing process. Period. This is how you obtain health. And then doing this is going to set in motion getting better sleep, being more regulated in your nervous system, which is what's required for stress management. It's going to allow you to wake up in the morning and have the energy to be like, wow, I have never actually wanted to go on a walk in the morning, but I really want to go on a walk in the morning because I have the energy to do so and sustain that. You can't start going on walks if you're not feeding your body stuff to produce the energy that's required to do that. It's impossible. You'll just burn your adrenals out, or you're just going to waste all of the nutrition that you do have in doing something that's not a complete package. So again, it all starts with your gut. It all starts with your gut. Cha-ching! All done. You may go home.